I came here expecting there was going to be no snow, so we may have to do some renegotiations on that. Some pay for some physical therapy for shoveling, or pay for somebody to shovel.
What were some of the snowstorms like in Northeast? Bad?
We didn't get a ton bad. We had one game pushed back a day a couple years ago because of snow. My kids had one little stretch. Honestly, they had 3 days off, whatever that was, beginning of December. I don't know that they had 3 straight days off from school in that whole time up there. And not because like, oh yeah, they're so good, they're just used to it, but like, we didn't get it that bad. Now, Rhode Island's weird because there's like what do they call it? The weather something. There's like a line. So where we lived at first, like there were days like I'd leave the house and it'd be cold, it'd be 40 degrees. And I'd go up to Bryant, 20 minutes up, and you'd cross this like weather something, I forget what they called it. And then it would get like real cold. Because the other parts are so close to the water. We were only like 35 minutes from the ocean. So it was, but then like as you got further into the state, then it would like, so it was different. Like it was just. Anyway.
Has an ocean changed the climate?
Something, yeah. There was something, I forget what they called it. There was like a name for it, like the climate something or weather something, and it was like, it just changed it.
Down here, they'll cancel school for the potential of snow.
We've seen that already.
Yeah,
Are the kids excited for that prospect next week?
Philip's already talking about it. And he brought up the water thing to me too last night. He's like, yeah, we might be out for a week. Like the water's going to shut down. I go, no, that happened one time. Like.
Twice.
Wishful thinking, twice. Wishful thinking on his part.
Well, if you guys have basketball questions. More weather questions.
No lane, Sean, today? Or I guess we're
I guess the TV Big Time test today.
Okay.
They're waiting for next week.
I'll open with the kind of traditional what Lane usually does is after having a chance to look back on the St. Joseph's game, anything maybe that you observed the second time that you didn't during the game on that day?
Yeah, again, we're still searching for consistency, but our defense, ironically enough, and it's why sometimes you have to watch it and really see, like, they made some threes that helped their numbers, but with turning them over, the activity with turning them over, like, we actually were better defensively in that game than we were against Rhode Island. Our efficiency was under 100. We were at 99. That's the best it's been other than St. Louis and league play. So there were some things there. Now there's some things to clean up. We got a little sloppy with a couple of those guys and letting guys get rhythm shots that we shouldn't have. But we continue to stress our gap help and helping each other and kind of that connection. And we took a step in that direction. Again, perfect? No. But we're trying to close that, as I said a couple weeks ago, that 1.7%, that little gap that we're trying to find, and, we've taken those steps in the right direction. We had 88 deflections in the game, which was a big number. Now I think they count some of them twice, but it was a bigger number than we've had, certainly in any game. We really track like our paint touches off the dribble and the number of dribbles it takes to get there. We were there almost twice as much against St. Joe's as we were against Rhode Island, and I thought we played pretty good offense against Rhode Island, but we were able to get there twice as much with like 35 or 40 less dribbles. So that tells me like we were running good offense. There's just times we weren't, and those are the times that stick out in my mind sometimes when I walk out of here, and then you watch it and you're like, hey, you know what, that was pretty good possession, good movement here. So yeah, I was proud of the effort.
Will you be running Tyrell off the backboard play?
I told him I've never seen that one before, but we did highlight very much like his play to keep going. So if he doesn't go and wall up the way he did, and they go make a layup, it now becomes a 2-point game with like a minute and 20 seconds left. It's a much different game than getting the ball back with a minute to go and then now having to foul you. And along with that, not just him walling up, but the other guys coming in to help rebound that ball and get that ball once he did do that. Because, again, it all works together. So, yeah, we make a mistake. We don't want to throw the ball off the backboard like that. But we didn't stop. He went in. He walls up. Those other guys don't stop. Because if he goes in and walls up and those other guys don't stop, if they just stop, they're getting the ball back and laying it in, so they're getting the same result. So it all works together, you know, and when we watch the winning plays, that was very much in there. Like, sometimes, and honestly, a lot of times winning plays come off of a mistake. You know, it's easy to make a winning play when you're rolling and feeling good, but it's when you make a mistake, can you get back in that play and make the play first? And he did that. Same way Bam did, blocking a shot and then getting an offensive rebound against Rhode Island. That came off of a turnover. It came off of not, you know, oh, we hit a three and now we're juiced up and make a winning play. Make a winning play off a mistake. He made a mistake. He made the winning play, and big reason why we won the game.
Tyrell hypes himself up more than anybody I've ever seen. What does he bring in that sense, like the intangibles on the court?
Yeah, I mean, he's got that energy and emotion to him. That's a good thing. You know, he talks a little bit. He's very much into the game. It's why we need him right all the time. You know, for that stretch there when he didn't have that, it's so visible. You know, and it's what makes him a good player. Like, there's guys that play off of that. There's guys that play very stoic and are good players because they play stoic. There's guys that need that emotion and need that energy, and he needs that. You know, when he's got it right, you can see it in practice, you see it in the games. When he's got it right, and, you know, right now he's got it right. And it's important. You need guys like that. You know, Barry has some of that. You know, Tyrell has some of that. Like, you need that juice to you, especially in a building like this that feeds off of that juice too. You know, our fans get excited for that as well, which is cool.
When in that stretch that Tyrell wasn't playing for a while, everyone was clamoring about where his minutes go, how's he going to get back on the floor. And now all of a sudden, Tillery had an impact for a while there, and his minutes have dried up for a little bit. Has managing, you're fifth in the country in bench points per game, has managing that depth been one of the most difficult, probably good problem to have, but aspects of the season for you as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I ask for that. I ask for them to make it hard. There's places they make it real easy to play 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, right? But I'd rather have the issue we have now of like, yeah, there's a good player that's not going to play. If you're a good team, you probably have good players that aren't playing. And just because you don't play doesn't mean you can't play. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday when we met, like, everyone looks at their own circumstance, right? Like, everyone looks in their own, and this is life too, right? Like, you just look at your own, but you don't realize that there's so many things that can affect that, right? So, you know, for a guy to sit there and go like, well, I could play. Yeah, you could, but that guy's playing really well, you know? So it's hard to get him out of the game when he's playing really well. The same when it's the other way around, right? And we've had that. We've had that with all these guys, you know, that there's moments where, hey, you know what? Other guys are rolling. You know, Brandon Jennings didn't play as much against Rhode Island because those other guys were playing really well. Mod played really well, and Terrence was playing well. And, okay, that affects your minutes. It has nothing to do sometimes about you. It's just about this group and, you know, what comes with that, you know. And Jordan's been a great example of that. Like, he's a good player. You know, he doesn't play for us. He's a freshman. It's hard to play as a freshman, all those things. But he's a good player, you know, I talked to him about it yesterday. Like, he just keeps going. He's just got to he keeps the energy right. He keeps his energy right. He keeps fighting, keeps pushing. You know, he's had good days in practice. He's got to be more consistent for sure. You know, but at the same time, like, you're into January, you're into February, and experience matters too, right? And guys that have been in those environments and seen what it's like and know what walking into a hostile conference, you know, road gym is like that stuff matters, you know, and he's getting that experience now, and in the future he'll be better for it.
Coach, St. Louis recently just got into the top 25, George Mason's top 5 in receiving votes. You obviously know how good the A-10 conference can be. They know how good the A-10 conference can be, but what are your thoughts on now the nation knowing about teams like St. Louis, George Mason, Dayton, VCU as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're paying close attention to college basketball, right, and you're really into it, you should know, like, this conference is very good. Even those teams that aren't getting attention, like, they're pretty good. Like, St. Joseph's playing good basketball. You know, they've figured something out. Like, they're playing well. Duquesne's playing well. Richmond's playing well, right? Davidson's playing well. Like, you go down the line, like, there's good teams, you know, up and down. Certainly at the top, St. Louis is very good. George Mason's very good. Dayton's very good. But then you go and, you know, I could go through the whole list. GW. When you have a team like St. Bonaventure that finally gets their first win this late in January, like, I saw them up close and personal a couple weeks ago. You guys all did too. Like, that's a pretty good team. Like, Frank Mitchell could be player of the year. Like, and they're struggling to win games because these teams are good, you know, like, obviously there've been shakeups at certain places and there's new coaches and new things. And you know what, like, it just seems like the level has just been raised and raised and raised. Right. And everyone's got a tough style. They're all different, but everyone's got a tough style, right? Like, playing St. Louis is different than playing George Mason. It's different than playing Dayton. It's different than playing GW. It's different than playing Fordham. It's different than playing LaSalle. It's different than playing whoever. Did I get everybody so far? Did I name everybody? But there you go. Well, I could go way back to like Rutgers and Penn State and West Virginia, but it's different. You know, it's different playing all these teams. And yeah, I think if you're not paying attention on a national scale, you need to know, like, there is really, really, really excellent coaching in this league. There is really, really, really good players in this league, and really, really, really good teams in this league. And that deserves attention. You know, that deserves attention, because there's a lot of teams in this league, if they were in Power 5 conferences, would be right there in the mix, and, you know, as teams that are being talked about as at large, you know, in the middle of those conferences. These teams are all just as good as those teams.
There was a photo posted last night of you, your father, and Chris Mooney at a game. What's your relationship with Mooney like, and what are the conversations you've had since you've gotten here?
So, obviously known Chris a long time, another Philly guy, Philadelphia Catholic League, you know, product. His son and my son are in school together, play together. When Phillips shadowed, he shadowed with Chris's son. You know, he's always been a good resource for me, you know, throughout the years. Not necessarily like terribly close, but, you know, always would see him, talk to him on the road. You know, always had a great admiration for him, the way he runs his program, the success he's had, you know, and all that. So it's just neat, you know. And when he came into the league, I guess my dad was kind of the elder statesman, right? And that sounds old, like the established veteran, right? So he's, you know, there's a connection there. You know, my dad always looked out for those guys and kind of put their arm around them when they came in the league, and like, hey, here's what to expect, and here's things you need to know, and all that. And you know, I appreciate he's kind of reciprocated that with me, you know, like, in kind of sharing knowledge of, obviously not telling me like, hey, we're going to do this against you, you know, but like just the knowledge of like, here's the league, and then helping just obviously getting acclimated to the area and things like that. So very appreciative of him. I have a ton of respect for him, and you know, it's always good to see him in those environments and just be able to sit there and watch our kids play and you know, talk shop a little bit, you know, just about what we're seeing and what's going on in this college basketball world from somebody who's done it at a high level for a long time.
Obligatory Davidson question, and what kind of challenges they presented. Are you aware of the swim team situation?
I do have some knowledge of it. I won't pay much attention. I feel like everybody's got that now. I think I was watching George Mason the other day, and they had their swim team and their Speedos like in the front row. But yeah, they're good. They've played well. They've had some injuries and kind of weathered the storm with that, with some key players out at different times. You know, the most recent game I watched, they were really clicking on offense, so that your mind goes there of like, man, they you know, when they're running their motion and running it well and making shots, yeah, it's hard because they're constantly moving and the ball's popping and doing the things that we all want to do. You know, defensive end, they always seem to be where they're supposed to be. You know, like at times it's almost like watching shell drill. You know, it's like, all right, like this guy's supposed to be in this spot and he's there, and then the ball moves and this guy's supposed to be in that spot and he's there. You know, they do a decent job of being physical without, you know, being overly physical and fouling, trying to keep you from getting to your spots. You know, what they lack in maybe athleticism at times, they make up for, you know, with their intelligence and their physicality and, you know, just kind of their general knowledge of how to play the game the right way. So, you know, we'll have to be on our toes on both ends because they're, you know, they present a big challenge.
Have you given any thought to
Just let it keep going. I'm not a big one. I've said this before. Like I'm not a like. Well, your best five have to be your starting five. Now, what we've talked about is we have to get off to a little bit better start in the first half and the second half, and some different ideas with that. But I do like that pop coming off the bench. I like the way it changes the whole atmosphere to the game when he comes in the game. I see it. I feel it from the other bench, the other coaching staff, like waiting for him, and now here he is, and now that happens. But I like the consistency of things. So, he has found a really good role with that. I'd imagine he has to be the favorite for sixth man of the year in the conference. And I would even start to say, like, he's probably, if not the best, he's got to be one of the best six men in the country at this point in time. To do what he's doing and playing the level that he's playing at. But, he's found a good comfort with that. He's found a good role with that, coming off the bench, ready to go, brings a different life to us when he comes in the game. So, no, there's been no discussion about that, But we do know we need to be better on both ends of the floor, for those early stretches of games. We have been in different games, but again, consistency, big word for me. Like, we got to be consistent with that. Get off to the right start in the game, get off to the right start in the second half.
The Martellis are obviously a big contingent for many years in the A-10. Have you talked to the McKillips at all, Bob and now Matt at Davidson, and what that relationship is like?
Not recently. Matt and I have always been friendly. The five of us actually did a clinic in Finland. Mara is how old? She's 13. So this had to be 14 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was before she was born. We went in August, so maybe it was like 2012. And my dad had a player from Finland, Coach McKillips, Bob McKillips, has had a ton of players from Europe, but had a kid from Finland. They came from the same club, and the club brought us over to do like a clinic for all their coaches. And a couple things I remember from doing that trip. So we've always had a connection with them, and great respect, great admiration for them. And Coach McKillips belongs in the Naismith Hall of Fame for sure. And Matt's a great coach. But we did this clinic in Finland. The things I remember were, you fly all day, you get over there, and everybody's like, don't go to sleep, just stay up. We went to sleep, and then all of a sudden you're getting like the bang on the door, like, hey, you're supposed to be at this thing, and you're supposed to be speaking at 12 o'clock, and it's like 11:55. So it was like I throw clothes on and go over to speak. So I remember that. Me, Jimmy, and my dad, I'm pretty sure it was called Manhattan Steakhouse in Helsinki. That's basically where we eat every meal. It was like an American steakhouse. The McKillips, I think they went to like some cabin. We stayed at like a Holiday Inn. They went to like a cabin in like the middle of nowhere. Like they were like for real. Like we're like real tourists. Like, hey, can we just stay in our own lane and just kind of our comfort zone? They I think went to like some cabin. I think if I remember correctly, like no electricity on a lake, whatever. Like with their player, we're just going like, all right, there's the Manhattan Steakhouse. Like we'll just go there. Or some American sports bar. And then the last night we were there, one of the former players of the club was like a high-level chef, and he had this gorgeous restaurant on like a corner in Helsinki, and they're all these people and us and whatever, and they're just feeding us stuff, and it was like, you have to eat it, but then like after the fact you're like, what's that? And it's like, well, that's cow intestine, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I just ate that. But you have to eat it. So there was like all kinds of stuff like, that you're like, this is what now? Like, all right, I gotta try this. But we were all there together. Again, it was probably about 14 years ago. So yeah, there's long connection there, long history there. And again, great respect for both Coach McKillips and Matt.
You mentioned, I think a couple of weeks ago, adjusting yourself to expectations. How else have you seen yourself have to kind of learn and grow and evolve as a coach over the course of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think you're always doing that, right? You're always trying to do that. In this day and age, you're trying to grow and adapt really on the fly, right? Like there's always some new issue, right? all right, like G League players can play in college. All right, like how are we managing that? You know, all right, the foreign, you know, pros are playing. All right, how are we managing that? All right, and, you know, some point in time here we'll have to start having like personnel discussions like you would at the pro level, right? Like, you know, what does this mean? Who's it? You know, so you're going to be doing all those things. But yeah, it's just a little bit of everything. And honestly, like being a father and a husband and trying to do, you know, not just this job at VCU, but this job as a college basketball coach, you know, when your kids are growing and changing and they have different things going on. So it's like, can I get to this game? Can I be there for this event? Can I go see, you know, one of my kids get an award at their school? Whatever it is, like, you know, you're constantly growing and changing and adapting with that. You know, managing a bigger staff, right? And setting responsibilities and setting standards, you know, not just for the players, but for the staff too, of like, hey, this is how we're going to operate. This is how we're going to do things. And then just constantly, again, I don't think you can be good at this without constantly adapting and changing to like, what does this group right here, what do they need? What do they respond to, right? And figuring that out and knowing like that's always going to change, right? Like the messaging in September might be different than it is in November. And it's definitely different when you get into January, almost February, of like, you know, what do we need to change and adapt now, right? Like, do we need to go shorter with practice? Do we need to go, you know, harder? Do we need to go stay the same time but go less intensity? Whatever it is, you're constantly managing that and adapting and changing to that. So there's always something, it feels like, you know, and honestly, I hope that never changes. You know, like I feel like if you're not wanting to deal with that, then what are you even doing in this space? Like, it's constant change, it's constant adaptation, and I kind of like that. I like it not to be boring. You know, it's definitely not boring. So I like that. Thank you.
Anything else, Phil?
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you